Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome, guys. January 2nd, 2023. I'm a little bit late to the stream. Sorry about that. Always trying to improve my setup here and make it a bit better for everyone. So I got some new music playing. Hopefully it's not too loud. I can actually hear the music now, which is kind of cool. It gets me into the mode, the drawing mode, the composition mode today. We're going to continue our journey into learning composition, and we're going to be covering a lot, all kinds of stuff we're going to be covering today. So let me get right into it. First thing I like to do is always grab a brush and then start writing out what we're doing. And I've even prepared somewhat for today's live stream by grabbing all of my images first. Of course, I haven't loaded them up in Krita yet, but today we're going to be talking about composition, particularly space division, or dividing space, and this is basically continued from last stream. So if you watched last stream, we got through a lot of things on the last stream, and now we're gonna keep going. Oh, great, I'm glad you like the music, Thinker. Awesome, appreciate you showing up every day. Okay. The first thing we're going to talk about, and I have my notes on another screen so I can kind of go off my notes, is we're going to talk about small, medium, and huge within composition. And this is going to be a fun one. Well, not as fun as the other ones. Actually, this is one of those things where, you know, it's not really a rule in composition. What it is kind of a guideline. So what does that mean? And sometimes it's easier to explain what small, medium, huge is about by looking at, you know, what doesn't work and what does work more than anything. So small, medium, huge, or big, however you want to say it. And it's just referring to the objects that are in your drawing, in your piece, in your composition, okay? So a beginner would probably do something like this, where the composition has, you know, maybe a bunch of little items kind of everywhere, just spread out. It's almost like polka dots. Maybe there is a little bit of change within that, but this is what a person would do. Maybe think about this as a field of flowers, okay? And they're all kind of the same size. And then even, you know, on the distance, there's a little tree on the distance or something like that. There's a person out there too. Maybe there's a little house as well, okay? Everything's kind of the same size, and there's no interest there. And then when we get better at it, what we'll see someone that does something like this. We'll have some items that are breaking the plane. Maybe we'll have some overlapping items, a bunch of items, and it's looking pretty good. We have more interest here, right? Maybe this is a different field or different landscape, and here's your horizon line. We even have one that's breaking the horizon line, so there's a bit more interest there. And then a professional, someone that's been doing this for a while, will make a composition that's like this. They'll have this big area. It's all filled in. Maybe this is like a cave or something. And it's all going everywhere. And then we're looking like kind of out of this craggy cave, out of And then we see in the distance some people lining up because maybe they're here to kill us. And we're hiding out in the cave. Maybe we're like the old Rambo movie. Wow, I can't believe that just popped up. And then there's one big rock right here that maybe I could hide behind if I wanted to get a bit closer to them. But there's also some tiny little stones that have fallen off that rock. So this is what a professional would do, someone that has been working with composition for a while. And what we see in this one here is a combination of the small, the medium, the huge. Little small items, really big items, maybe a pitchfork coming up here. Person's head, arms, I don't know. So this is what we'll see. Let me make this larger so you can see. Maybe a little bit smaller. Oh, geez. Control plus and minus is a little bit too extreme on sizes. So we'll say this is the beginner. And then this is pro. Yeah. And whatever that is in between. And we want to get better. So that's small, medium, huge. And it really helps out with the composition. And always want to make sure that you're breaking the picture plane with some of your items. So that's the first thing. You know, vary the size of them. Break the picture plane. And it will help you move out of your kind of natural way of composing items. And you know, one thing that I'm going to say about this is that it's more natural to have these variations in items. It's a natural way of doing things. So if we look at this image here, so if we look at this, I'm going to Control A, Control C, and then paste this right in, which is a huge image. It's from Unsplash. So Control T and then hold space to move and adjust the size. We can see that this image, when I get larger with it, is, you know, we have variation in items. We have variation. So we got this big rock here. It's a very simple composition, but we have these little things. And then even the guy is like this kind of medium size, right? Or this person is this medium size. And so this brings a lot of interest, a lot of naturalistic type interest into your compositions. To always kind of think about that. Overlapping items is really important within that. And we'll get into tangents in a bit, which is that's a lot of fun, is the tangents. Now, how does this work in art? What are some good examples of this in art? I'm going to go back to one of my most favorite, Bierstandt. Here's a great painting. So I'm going to copy this, Control Alt, Control C, Control V, and it's another huge image. So Control T, and then we're going to adjust the size and move it around. Now I could have prepared and had all of this on one, so you didn't have to watch me kind of do all this stuff, but it's part of the game. So, and we can pretty much outline all, you know, this wonderful composition. We have this huge cliff that is breaking the picture plane. It's jumping off into there. Then we have this kind of medium-sized clump of trees. Within there, they're all different. And even when we have like all different types of items in one place, we can almost clump them together because of overlapping. Then we have these little tiny things. Our center of interest is not really these indigenous peoples, but it's there, and we'll find it. It's kind of like this kind of hidden treasure. And then this medium item breaking the picture plane, really cool mountain. So we have this Small, medium, huge, everywhere. And also, one thing to notice here is the positive and negative shapes. We talked about positive and negative shapes last stream. And we have some really interesting positive and negatives going on within these. So the small, medium, huge will help you do that. Definitely. Okay, next up, we're going to be talking about straights and curves. STRAIGHTS. Have to make sure I spell things right. Straights and curves. So what are straights and curves about? Well, this can kind of go under balance as well, because we're really kind of balancing the images in a lot of ways. We'll get into balance as one of the major aspects of, or major principles of composition soon. But when you look at objects from life, you see just like a ton of detail. And what you want to do is you want to use straights and curves to simplify that detail. Oh, we got a comment. Thinker says, I appreciate you're copying and pasting. This is me wanting to become better at Krita at the same time. Yes. I'm glad you're okay with that. It kind of speaks to, the current trends in the world, especially for individuals, including myself, where it's like, no, get to the good stuff. Every single second has to be, value. And I want to do that, but at the same time, we have to see value in the small things, I think. Yeah, definitely. So straights and curves. Let me bring up some imagery on this to really give you an understanding of what I'm talking about. And usually what you will see is CSI. And I really like, this is an image by Ryan Woodard. So W-O-O-D, let me see. Woodward, W-O-O-D-W-A-R-D. And I obviously can't copy and paste while I'm doing that. And it pasted way up there where I couldn't see it. And oh, by the way, if you want to zoom in and out really quick, 1 and 2 helps you out with that. 2 goes there, shows you the whole canvas. 1 goes to 100%. So this is some amazing figure drawings by Ryan Woodard. R-Y-A-N-W-O-O-D-A-R-D. And you can see how he simplifies the figure into nothing but CSI. Not just straights and curves, but C curves, S curves, and straights, CSI. And they're all over the body, just kind of simplifying. Because what's most important about composition is getting this broad understanding, the simplified shapes. If you can get here, if you can get to these simple shapes, the rest of it's just detail. It's just texture. It's not as important. We can see this. This is from Patrick Gibbs, G-I-B-B-S, on ArtStation. And this also is big. Control T, hold Shift to drag so I keep the ratio. And we're going to go right there. And then hit 1 to zoom back in. And that's a bit too small. I want it small because we don't want to have to focus on each individual thing here that they've done, that Patrick Gibbs has done. Let me write his name down. And just to let you know, I mean, there's so many artists on ArtStation that do these thumbnails that could really help you out with thumbnailing items. So check out ArtStation, look at other artists and see how they do these kind of compositional thumbnails. But this is just very simplified. I mean, we can just pull out a lot of these straights in some compositions. I mean, mainly straights, hardly any curves in a lot of these. And these are just wonderfully interesting, active compositions. This is a nice curve here, curve there. It's kind of like the map that we're working on to enhance later with detail. I mean, once you have these pieces placed in, the rest of it's just adding detail and making it look a bit more interesting. Hey, Josh was here. Hey, Josh. Framed Ink 1 and 2 are awesome resources for thumbnailing too. Yes, so true. I was looking at Framed Ink 1 and 2 and then Frame Perspective 1 and 2 for this. But I was going to show some images, but I didn't know if I could actually show that on the stream. So I was kind of wary about it. But I did show the book itself on Amazon, like a previous live stream. I mean, the fantastic thing about Framed Ink is it will, Marco Mateus Mestri is his name. He will get into that book and he'll show a composition, and then it's a simple composition, fairly black and white, like this. And then he'll have this little map underneath of it. So, for example, if I'm drawing this one, he'll have this little cool, so the same size of the flow, and here it's kind of flat, and there's like he would put like some arrows going down or something to kind of, illustrate the flow of this composition, right? It'd be pretty interesting. Yeah, it might not be completely legal to show. I mean, I wouldn't show the whole book, I guess, so I guess it would be good. I need to prepare some pages from that because it's so good. Framed Ink 1 and 2, Frame Perspective 1 and 2. Mainly the Framed Inks for composition, so those are really, really good. So that's straights and curves, just really simplifying things. The one thing that I would say on this that's really nice to understand, I mean, this is kind of like a simple idea of understanding. If you're looking at hair on the body, like a person's hair, you don't draw, every single strand of hair, right? You look at hair as this basic shape, and then you fill in that shape. So it would be this huge shape as I need to get a bigger brush, like a shape of hair. And I could probably have done that better with an example image. But we'll get further into that once this live stream continues on and it continues to grow. So, all right, the next thing I want to do is I want to extend my canvas because I've run out of room. So do you guys remember the keyboard shortcut on this? I want to say it's Shift-Alt-C. No, Control-Alt-C. There it is. Control-Alt-C. Let's change the height. Let's double the height to 4,000. Change my anchor so it goes straight down. Hit OK. Now we have more room to work. The next item we're gonna work on here is scale, and I have some more image examples for this. Now I am gonna say that a lot of what I'm doing here is I'm pulling from Creative Composition by Will Terry on SVS Learn, the website. And it's a wonderful, wonderful course. And just about, let's say most of what I learned about composition was from that course. So let's talk about scale. And svslearn.com, to really kind of get into it deep with them, I would suggest that course highly, highly. You can do 14 days for free on that. You can get through the course if you work really hard. You can get through the whole course and all of the stuff for within those days. Josh says the map plus explanations are what makes the book so valuable. On that note, I'm off to handle the children. See you later, Josh. Thanks for joining. Appreciate you. Okay, scale. let's open the images. You know, think about different stories, okay, and what kind of differences in scale does it require? So here's some couple images that I'm gonna bring up. This is Kevin, Gnutzman, Gunsman. What a wonderful name, Gunsman. And another big image. The interesting thing about, or the great thing about ArtStation is all the images are just huge when you download them. I mean, like these high-res images. And scale is, you know, pretty self-explanatory. Exactly how you think it is. You know, the varying of scale within your narrative. So how is this different from small, medium, huge? Well, this is all about making things look larger than life or smaller than life. When I very first started this live stream, the first thing I was dealing with was this kind of epic landscape and trying to get an idea of distance and scale. And you can see that illustrated really well in this image here, because we feel the sense of distance. And we have this boy here and the dog that is about the same size, I would guess, the height of this planet. But because of the composition and because of how the adjustments of the scale of these have worked, I feel that that distance back there, that flow, let's see, that flow into the distance is just huge. I mean, it goes on forever and ever and ever and ever. You know, really, really interesting. And that's by the use of scale within that. So I feel the distance within this painting completely. Another interesting thing, and I love this from Will Terry when he's describing scale, and this was really helpful for me in a lot of ways. If you're trying to depict, so here's your picture plane, right? And you're trying to depict, let's say, a monstrous baby. This is right from svslearn.com. If you're trying to make a monstrous baby, I'm gonna hit insert for a new layer, and let's say you do this. This is our baby. Just a very simple baby, okay? Little smiley face. Now, when we're looking at this picture of the baby, or kid, or child, or person, or whatever, you put them next to the tree, but there's not a really, there's no explanation here. You're not sure of what's going on. You're thinking, you know, is the tree huge? Or is the baby huge? You're not really sure. So it doesn't really identify what scale is in that aspect. And maybe I'll just draw this multiple times. Let's see. So our keyboard shortcut for making these nice rectangles is Control R, okay? And then I can hit Shift B to make a straight line for our horizon line, okay? Right there. And then I'll draw my tree again, even faster. Here's my tree. Now, what if I take the baby and I make the baby, or the person, this big? So here they are. Very ugly, but very illustrative. And now, this person is larger than the tree, but now you're asking a question, is the person closer? Is the person closer? You know, I'm not sure. So it's not really giving you that idea of scale. right? I mean, obviously there's some kind of otherworldly things that you could do to identify scale. For example, if I hit my circle icon here, I can create a nice circle, and I can hold shift to make it perfectly round. I want to place it down here though. So my ellipse tool, just hold shift. What if this was the Earth? Okay. And I put this person on top of it. I mean, that's obviously, I mean, the person's as big as the world. We have a comparison here. Same if it was a city, like if the city was the size of the Earth and we had the baby inside of it. But how do you get the baby to look, or the person to look huge, just like 50 foot tall? Let's do our landscape again. And here's how it's done. It's a combination of things, but one most important thing is you take your baby or your person and you draw them here. Maybe they hit the top of the plane, maybe they're outside of the plane of the picture just a little bit. And I probably could have done that a little bit better. Yeah, let's do this. Let's hold Control R. And I'm going to cut this guy out. Okay. I'm going to hit T, Control T to transform. Make them bigger. And what we're going to do is we're going to place this person behind the horizon line. There you go. So now we have this huge baby going over, like behind the horizon line. And you can tell, like, holy cow, this baby's massive. This is a really huge person, baby, or whatever, because they're larger than life. They're over the horizon line. But just that small little change really makes it different. So Alexi says, hi, Christopher. What your thoughts on POL that say digital isn't real art? I was arguing with my friend the other day that medium doesn't matter. Oh, that on people that say digital isn't real art. Wow. I mean, that's actually a really good question. We could get really deep into there, Alexi. Let me finish this what I'm going through here on scale real quick, and then we'll talk about that. Okay, the last thing you can do with this to really make this person look like they're far in the distance is you fade them out a bit. And it's like atmospheric perspective, like they're so far in the distance that they're faded out. They're coming over the horizon. Watch out, here comes a huge person, a huge baby. So this is what I'm talking about with scale. We can look at, here's another artist I like a lot. Copy, Control-Alt, Control-C, Control-V. I'm going to put this on top. Zoom out so I can see this, and Control-T this guy so it's smaller. So this is Philip Ulrich on ArtStation as well. As you can tell, I pull a lot of things from ArtStation. And he does some really epic mountains, like epic scale. And you can see, you know, the distance through everything. And look at Bierstandt. I mean, we looked at Bierstandt up here. There's a lot of scale involved in those paintings too. So see how they do a lot of atmospheric perspective. You know, everything is really dark here in the foreground, and in the background it gets lighter and lighter. That's what atmospheric perspective is. Everything gets closer to blue, and it gets a bit lighter as it goes back in there. So the next one we want to go on to, but before I jump into that, I'm going to answer or give my opinion. I'm not going to answer the question. That's a big question, Lexi. The next one's going to be tangents, which is a lot of fun. But my opinion on if digital art is real, it's completely real. I mean, the idea that any person would say that digital art. Now, at first I was thinking you were talking about AI art. Now, there's a lot of debate going on for AI art right now. And I don't even think, I really think that even AI art is real art. It's created. Like the question that's really on people's minds with this is not really, is the art real? I don't think that that's a good explanation. I think it's more like, has the person worked hard enough, right, for us to think that it's worth something? Okay. For us to think that this digital art, this AI art, it warrants money, warrants fame, warrants our attention. And it's really simple and easy to just literally just go to ArtStation, artstation.com, look at the top artists there. I mean, heck, you can just go to the front page, which I'm going to do right now. I'm going to bring this up. Just go to the front page. There's going to be some kind of, not really nudity, but things that are in here. And when you look at some of this work, I mean, how could you not call this beautifully done digital piece not real or not art? This is completely artistic. And if you, oh, this is by W. Lop. I mean, he's fantastic. Just so good. And if you really want to get something that is real, that you can touch, that you put into your hands, you can get, you can download, let me see, no, shop prints. You can just get these things printed. Beautiful prints of all these work, and you'll have a physical representation of this on your wall. And this is what I'm going to say is, I would love to live with this piece. I would love to have it on my wall as inspiration. I don't care that it's digital. You could say the same thing about traditional art. How many artists take their traditional artwork, okay, and digitize it and then print it out onto a G-Clay print, onto anything? That's still real. A person worked really hard on that. What's the difference between, you know, a digital piece that looks like exactly like oil painted brushwork that is beautiful, that's printed, you know, on a print on your wall, versus one that was started in oil? It's the same. You know, and I think you're right there, Alexi. I would agree with you that medium really doesn't matter. The real question is, you know, what was the effort that the person put into the work? There's a lot of AI art out there right now where it takes seconds to generate. And I've done this, you know, I've been on Midjourney. I looked at Midjourney. Look at my website. A lot of influences came from Midjourney. I think it's a great tool as long as you use it as a tool for learning, for inspiration. But if you use it as a tool for monetary gain, AI stuff, and you don't have the skill to back it up, I think then you're in trouble. Because it's really sad, because you're really stunting your own growth on AI art if you use it that way. Especially if you, like, and I know there's some artists that on ArtStation that are, people are reproducing their work via AI and saying it's mine, That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. I mean, copyright infringement and all that is kind of crazy. So don't use it that way. But it's all real, digital or traditional. It's all real art. It's all here right now. And I'm sorry, guys, but your friend is incorrect. There's artists that are. I mean, heck, look at the movies, right? When you say digital art isn't real, yet you go and see the latest Spider-Man or the latest Marvel movie, guess what? What you love there, what you just paid for, is a lot of digital work. Yes. So there you go. There's a good argument. Well, don't go see movies. Don't pay the money for anything in Hollywood if you really don't like digital art, because guess what? That's what it's all about. Okay, tangents. Tangents. Yep, totally agree, Lexi. Thanks for the question. It was actually a really good, deep question. This is so cool. I love tangents. They're a lot of fun. There's a couple things that I want you to look at for tangents. Well, we'll describe what they mean, and they're best described in images, honestly. They're best described in images. And I was on YouTube, and I pulled some stills from a video, a really well done video by a guy named Ben Hartnett, and I'm going to write his name down and everything. After I get these images in place, Control T for transforming, moving things around. Let me write his name down. And I'm in the downloads, or the course download for this stream, which by the way is on my Gumroad. I will link that into the show notes in the description of the live stream. I will have links to everything, and you'll get this sheet that I'm working on and everything. So that's $10 on Gumroad, and if you want 50% off, CB 50 off for $5. It's a growing course that I'll add to every day, and if you're the only ones that get that kind of discount if you show up here. So this guy, he does a great video. His name's Ben Hartnett. Check him out on YouTube, subscribe, like, all that kind of stuff. And this is a tangent, and he describes tangents really well. It's basically when you have connections of items that change distance in a negative way. So it really looks like this guy right here has this light post connected to his face. I mean, he's walking by, but what really needs to happen is a better overlap. So this is really kind of on the nose as far as a tangent, as they would say in like the movie industry. What is a little bit hard to understand is when you have images that have tangents, but there's also a lot of detail in those images, like these balls here. When you add in all this detail, eventually it's harder to see where the tangents are. Can you guys pick out the tangents here? Once I show this, it's going to be kind of obvious. But they're all tangents. Every single one is a tangent. Now, if you watch the video, you would definitely see this. I wonder if I can do a perfect circle around these. Oh, it's going to be hard. Like, I'd have to start out here to get it connected right. So let's just do a drawing over. So this circle barely touches that circle, like perfectly on. Same with these sides. So we got, everything is just touching. And scientifically, a tangent is when any object, so if we have a circle, touches another object, and then let's make a square. And we can make that square like that. We can make the square like that overlaps, like this. These places where they touch, that's where the tangents are. Tangent, tangent. But in art, we have to make sure that when we create a composition, that we look at it and we figure out, okay, where are the tangents and where do they not work well in a lot of ways. And it's fun to find these, especially in professional works. So if you're, going anywhere on the internet, or if you're collecting art, you can, find these tangents in a lot of places. And it's a lot of fun to kind of look at them. So how do you fix tangents? Well, what you would do on this one is you would, well, two things. There's two things you can do, and I'm just going to write them out. You spread them apart. Or overlap. There you go. Spread them apart or overlap. So instead of these circles, let's just do some quick circles. Oops. So here's the front circle, right? The one on the side could be overlapped. This green one could be spread out to here. The yellow one could be way back there, right? And the purple one could be overlapped right there as well. But then I'm creating these like Mickey Mouse ears. And maybe that's not pleasing. Maybe the Mickey Mouse shape you don't want, so you move that other one away. But understanding these things is a lot of fun. So check out the video by Ben Hartnett. I'll put that in the download from Gumroad. But tangents are a lot of fun. There are some really cool images that I collected about tangents. They're really fun from SVS Learn. So here's some images that include tangents that you can play with photographs. Like this kid is, in the background, but it looks like another kid's holding him. This person is, looks like they're sitting on the back of some kind of sculpture, but it looks like that's their legs. Little things you can play with on, in photographs that show tangents. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. Here's one that's really freaky. This one here, there's some overlap because of the color of the shirts that are happening, but it looks like, kind of some kind of strange squatting behavior that's happening here. Or the bride has really long legs like a horse. Really fun stuff. So that's tangents, and they can create some unfortunate situations. But looking at those and making sure that you recognize them and make edits to them will help kind of space out your artwork and keep it from like kind of looking strange or odd, like what's happening here. So these are really good examples. All right, the next compositional element we're going to go to, we got two more, and we're going to get through both of these in this stream, however long it takes. We have implied lines. This one's a lot of fun too. The next one is going to be shape, but implied lines first, and I need more room. Control Alt C. Let's go up to 5,000. Change my anchor. Infinite space in digital art. Don't you wish you could do that with a canvas? Like, oh, I wish this canvas was bigger. And just go, whoop, make the canvas bigger. Or smaller, crop it down. Oh, that would be so fun. All right, so let's open some images for implied lines. And I love these two paintings because I love looking at this within real art. Now, this is a piece by Norman Rockwell. If you want to see a master of composition, okay, Norman Rockwell is your guy. He is just, he was trained by, not Dean Cornwell. I forget his name. Leindecker. I don't remember Leindecker's first name, but he was trained by Leindecker which is another just amazing artist. So this piece is called Homecoming Marine by Norman Rockwell. And so what we're going to do here, I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to show you where the implied lines are. And basically, I can do this with one, arching circle, actually. This is all implied lines, all of this. And we get this from a combination of value, but mostly faces. If there is one thing that, there's a list of things that grab attention most from other humans, other people, and what grabs attention most is faces. So if you really want to grab your audience attention for something, then creating or putting faces in the right place will grab their attention. You could have all kinds of stuff all over everywhere, just like in this piece, but what we focus on are the faces. And Norman Rockwell has done this amazing thing. He does it all the time in a lot of his pieces. He will imply these kind of circles with what he knows grabs the most attention, and it keeps the viewer right here. More specifically, it would keep them focused here because we have implied lines of people looking in that direction. We're looking at the Marine that just came home. Yeah. World War II. So, story, fantastic. Yeah. Remember what I said, everything always comes back to story, narrative. Everything that I'm teaching here, everything that I'm showing you here the purpose is to tell a better story. So this is Michael Anchor, the drowned fisherman. I love this one because I really like paintings with high contrast. Gonna Control T, make this smaller, drag it around. So I always like paintings with high contrast. And we have pretty much the same thing here. This person uses a combination of faces, angles, straight lines, and value to really tell the story. So I could hit Shift B on this, create a line that goes straight this way. Ooh, let me insert a layer so it's over the top. There we go. And then we have a line of the table right there. And what's really cool about this is, this is implied lines, but we could look at other compositional elements that this person is using to keep the viewer where their eye, exactly where he wants them to go. Not only do we have this yellow here, but it's of the highest value. The most highest value is his face and her face. The window is subdued, even though that's really high value. So the focus is all here. These are the lightest values you see. But not only that, this artist is amazing because they didn't want you to go, follow these lines and then flow off the side of the canvas. No, what did they do? They added this blocker here, this person that keeps you into the composition. So you flow through it and then you hit that wall and you're like, you're done. You're right in here. On the left side as well. We got this shape here that keeps the person from flowing off the canvas. And everything else is the same way. I don't want you to go off the top of the canvas. Right? So right there. We saw that with The Passing of Robin Hood by N.C. Wyeth. He put this little board across the very top of the composition to keep people down into what he wanted people to look at. So implied lines. A lot of times we'll see implied lines through, faces, heads, and these kind of ideas. Another And you've probably seen this before, and I can illustrate this really quickly. Maybe I can. Shift R for a rectangle. I don't want it red though, so I'll hit D, Shift R. Yeah, Shift B. And I'm gonna have my horizon line really high because my focus is gonna be on the ground. And if I had a footprint here, and here, and here, 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 here. We've all seen this. This is an implied line. Goes off into the distance. Footprints into the distance, very simple. And it's these little small kind of chunks of things that imply lines. Yeah, fun stuff. All right, the last thing we're gonna take on, and I'll probably have enough room, which is gonna be good, is gonna be shape. Oops, I want black, so I'm gonna hit D. I'm right on time. Maybe a little bit late. It's about an hour into the stream. Shape, and I'm gonna show one of my favorite artists on ArtStation, and maybe I'll pull in one of his pieces into this deck. And this is John Stone, and actually this is one of my favorite. I pulled this one down, I downloaded it. This is all about shape language. You'll hear this a lot with illustrators, and they'll talk about shape language. And what does that mean? Well, every piece has, every art piece you do has interesting shapes in some way. And John Stone uses hard, sharp shapes everywhere. And this is all about shape. How can I simplify everything into these hard shapes? It's great for learning composition, great for learning how to simplify things. And if you go through his works, what you'll see is just all these basic shapes everywhere. This is fantastic. If you look at this, if you zoomed in on that, you wouldn't know what the heck's going on, but you pull back, 33 and 3, it's like, oh yeah, it's a pile of rocks. Look at all the colors everywhere, all the different brush strokes and everything, but it reads well. It reads well. So this is all about shape. Another thing you can look at is any contemporary animation and how they do hair. Simplified hair is one of the things where it's just all based on shape. I'm trying to find something here. Maybe we can, I know that maybe that first one had hair on it. Here we go. Let's get this one. I'm going to pull this one down into a folder. Perfect. Right there. We can close this. And let's open up the image. Okay. Control C. I always say Control All, but it's Control A. It's like in my brain that's all. Control T. Change it up. I'm going to keep this one a little bit larger, see if we can make it fit down here. Nope. Too big. We'll move it to the side. Hit 1 to zoom in. I'm going to zoom in further. Oh, that's cool. Like he signed it way up there. So look at this hair. He's not doing every single strand. Look at the cat or the dog that's there. The simplified hair is fantastic. That's another way you can look at just basic shapes. So simplified hair, basic shapes. And we're talking about shape language. And it's part of storytelling as well. The one piece I showed where the girl, or from John Stone, where there's a woman on a beach, and it looked like a kind of serene thing. But the one issue that I could point out with that is all of the shapes were using these kind of sharp angles. These very sharp angles, okay? And what do we think about when we see these sharp angles? We think about knives. We think about, hard rocks. We think about teeth, okay? Pain, things that can hurt us, And if you put a lot of those into a piece where it's supposed to be very calm, you're going to get some differences there than maybe the story that you're wanting to tell. Oh, Thinker says, I agree that digital art made by a human, however, I think AI art is not art. I think of it more as a copy machine, a sophisticated copy machine, but still a copy machine. I can see that completely, yeah. A lot of people think that way about AI art. I think you can generate a bunch of AI art and then use it as inspiration for like colors or shapes or things you never thought about and just something interesting. But yeah, use it as a tool to help you to get motivated in some way, but don't like print it out and then go, this is mine. I mean, that's BS. In short, art made by a human is art regardless of medium. I agree, but we'd have to define made, right? Art that is actually not just typed in and generated, because some people could argue, well, I made it by typing in that command and working with it. Nah, I would think, you got to put down the color and value and composition and all that kind of stuff. Okay, shape language. So when we're all these hard edges and things, it's going to identify, danger, pain, hurt. But then on the other end, we have circles, spheroid shapes, clouds, these kind of organic things, right? We can even pull out ellipses, exact circles. And it's getting too close to my definition of the sharp shapes. Let's move those off the canvas. So these shapes are, nice. Maybe not happy, but they're definitely not going to hurt us, right? So using this kind of shape language could help you within your narrative and your storytelling. If you want fast-paced danger, use sharp shapes, okay? If you want calm, if you want happy, use a lot of bubbles and round shapes and clouds and things like that. So that kind of transition. If you want action, these sharp shapes. If you want calmness, maybe flat lines, right? You take a bunch of lines, so Shift B for lines, okay? And I can hold Shift again to keep them horizontal or vertical. And this will give you structure. This will give you calm. Calm structure. So identifying what shapes work well. Okay. The other thing that we're going to talk about on shape is randomness. And here's a statement. Nature is perfectly random. It can never do anything wrong. I mean, if you look at the sky at night, and I'm going to put my horizon really low because we're looking at the sky, and there's some stars in the sky. And you think, well, those stars are not placed in the right way. Well, you can't really say that, can you? No, the stars are placed where they're going to be placed. You can't say, well, no, those need to be more organized, right? Nature is perfectly random, no matter what those stars do. It could be a huge jumble of stars all in one place. But you would go, oh, wow, that's nature. That's what nature does. There's no way it can be wrong, okay? It's perfectly random. Yet, when we as artists get involved with nature, what you'll see a lot is when we do a line of trees, you'll see this. You'll see these perfect rhythms because we respond, we know mechanical things a bit easier. I mean, we can use that for drawing. Straight lines are easier than curves as far as drawing. But when we are trying to draw or paint nature, we want to stay away from this rhythm, this mechanical rhythm. Stay away from the mechanical rhythm. So we have to kind of get in touch with nature in a lot of ways. And when we're drawing a line of trees, we get random. We think, you know, here's the line of trees. However they may look. I mean, one's dead, it's just a stick, you know? Something like that, far in the distance. Completely random. And for a lot of ways, you can just observe nature. You know, grow your observation skills so that you get that perfect randomness. Because nature will always be perfect. And it will always be random. But in its own perfection. Which is, you know, in my mind, pretty just amazing when you think about it. Like, nature is always perfectly random. I'm going to save this document by Control Save. And we did go a little bit longer than I would like. I would like to keep this at an hour every time. But that's okay. We had some fun discussion about what is real art and what is not. And let's look at everything we did today. Let's review, quick review. Space division continued, and we've gotten through space division, definitely. And we'll be on to the next one, the next major principle, which is, what is the next one? Probably emphasis is what we'll talk about next. Emphasis. But we talked about small, medium, huge, varying your objects. You know, we want to be more like a pro, but, you know, take your time getting there. Always look at the composition, small, medium, huge. Remember the randomness of nature. More interest is involved in varying your objects. Straights and curves, CSI. It's all about simplifying first to get that composition in. Look at framed ink. Framed ink book. And when you guys get this Krita file, I'm sorry, but the layers are everywhere. I'll get better at that. Okay, so framed ink book as far as straights and curves. I mean, just in general composition, it's a fantastic book. Scale. How to get distance, how to show things are really big, really small. Remember the baby. Put it on the other side. Atmospheric perspective, that kind of thing. Tangents, create your composition, create your art, and then look for these tangents and make adjustments. And if you're keeping it simple, like up here with straights and curves, you'll be able to see those tangents and make some adjustments to it right away. Just like we saw here, it's easy. I mean, if you get just these simple kind of shapes going with, you know, these circles, I can see that this is making Mickey Mouse ears, so I'm going to make some adjustments when it's simple. But when you add in all this detail, it's a lot harder to see. So start simply, figure out those tangents first. Implied Lines, look at Rockwell, look at amazing other paintings and illustrators, and look for those implied lines. Footsteps on a beach. Yeah. Shape, use that shape language. Sharp, straight, hard, soft, to tell the story. Remember, it's all about the story. We're going to create a narrative through composition, something that people will love, and then they'll want on their wall, digital or otherwise. Digital or otherwise. There's so much digital art that I would love to have on my wall. I mean, heck, I would print out all kinds of, or get prints of Bierstandt and have it all over my wall. Actually, I have a Bierstandt framed. It's a print. Definitely real art. All right. Remember, my Gumroad is traditional to digital. The link will be in the description of this YouTube live stream if you want to get all the resources from every single live stream, which will continue on for months probably. So that's going to grow huge for only $10. And remember the discount code CB50 off to get it for only $5. There you go. There's my advertisement. Thanks for joining me, everyone. Thank you, Thinker, for being here. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Alexi. I appreciate you guys showing up and supporting me with this. And let me know if I'm helpful or not. Let me know if you've learned anything. If you want to know anything extra, just shoot me a message on my website, in YouTube, whatever, on Gumroad. And you guys that show up here will get whatever you want, basically. Well, I'm not going to send you money, but anyway. All right, that's it for me. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow.